I will keep waving the flag of sackcloth for humility and not the flag of pride. This is Sophie Scholl, and I'm going to reflect upon the words you may have heard last week. Were Trump's words at the joint session of Congress true? Oh, I know, it was great when he spotlighted the 13-year-old who had cancer and became an honorary member of the Secret Service. It was great that he spotlighted those families that have suffered because of illegal aliens being let into the country and their family member becoming victims of it. It was great when the president highlighted the parent whose child was basically instructed by the school system not to tell them about the sex changes. What Trump did with those individuals, he pointed out in the gallery, couldn't help but cause our hearts to respond with empathy and compassion and support. Oh, I loved it when he talked about illegal immigration and the former president would say, oh, we've got to get legislation to change things. And our president said, no, you really don't need more legislation. You just need a new president. And the president has already secured the border significantly, and the statistics prove it. I know I started out by saying, were the president's remarks true? What I was referring to was the point in his speech about the European Union spending more on Russian gas and oil than in aid for the Ukraine. I heard that said, what? Is the European Union spending more money to get Russian gas and oil than they are in spending in aid for the Ukrainians? Found out President Trump was right. Which makes me think the European Union is basically funding both sides of the war. They're funding the Russians by buying their oil. Do you see what this green energy agenda does? It squashes the Europeans from getting their own oil for this green fantasy that they have. And buying oil from Russia gives Russia the money they need to fight the war, as the European Union is sending aid to the Ukrainians. This is nuts. This is insanity. I'm glad President Trump called it out, because I really feel like he has a peace plan. I know the Democrats are saying, what do you mean? Negotiating with Putin. What do you mean? In his response to Zelensky, when you observe what's going on, he has a plan that's in America's best interests while having a common sense perspective on Ukraine. Because Ukraine, on their own, can't withstand Russia. It would be crazy to put Ukraine in NATO. That will just worsen the tensions between Russia and the West. President Trump has a plan. The Democrats don't, except send more money to Ukraine. Send more money from American taxpayers to fund their war. Send more money to fund the war without getting an accounting of how the money is spent. Interesting. You watch individuals like Elizabeth Warren, and she's morphing into Dick Cheney. Meaning, the party, the personalities the Democrats used to hate, such as George Bush and Dick Cheney, in a sense, those kind of Democrats are morphing into them. How long was the war in Afghanistan? How long was the war in Iraq? I hear President Trump talking about peace and putting forth a plan that is in the interests of peace to stop the killing between Russia and Ukraine. He wants to see the bloodshed finished. But I watch the left, and they continue to support what's going on. Were Trump's words true? Yeah, I really think they were true when he said the European Union is buying more gas and oil from Russia than they are in sending funds to Ukraine. But any way you look at it, the Union is funding both sides of the war. This has got to stop. And I feel like our president is taking steps to put it to a stop and at least create a situation where the conflict, which is resulting in massive amount of bloodshed, will come to an end. Well, unlike Tony Kornheiser of Pardon the Interruption, I cannot promise you that I'll do better the next time. And unlike Tony Kornheiser, the flag I'm going to wave is the flag of sackcloth for humility. As a follower of Jesus, I still need Jesus.